All right, so hey everybody, welcome to the Alchemy Coach Startup Challenge. I'm Crystalline Bell, and I'm the founder of Badass Butterfly Alchemy. I'm here with Team Badass Butterfly members, Rebecca and Liesel. And look, we're really excited to be here. This is day two of the challenge, and if you're watching me live on Facebook, please type in hashtag live. And if you're watching the replay, please type in hashtag replay. This is very, very helpful for us. So we're going to be together for 75 minutes today. And if you stay until the end, you're going to get the slides from today's session, and you'll also receive the workbooks that I'll be talking about later in the session. And actually, there's just today we get one workbook. Tomorrow, we have two. So this is a 3-day challenge. And yeah, so we'll do in order to get the workbooks, you do have to be signed up for the challenge. So Liesel's going to drop the link for you. If you're watching live, she'll drop it for you in the comments. All right, get to Liesel drop the link to sign up. Okay. And today we're going to learn about the proven transformation method that promises to take your clients through deep healing and clearing on 5 levels while you're coaching them to their heart's desires. So, all of this is in the workbook that you're going to be receiving today, so that you can study it and see how it fits in with your vision of how you want to help people. I also Yesterday, I invited you to book a strategy call with me to talk about how you can start learning this process. And I'm really excited to connect with those of you who have already booked. So thank you so much for grabbing your places already. And actually, I had my team open up some more slots because we were already starting to fill up. So you shouldn't have any trouble finding a slot now. So grab the link. Liesel, can you also put the link for the strategy call, please? Enrollment for the Alchemy Coach certification is officially open, and this is the last opening we're going to be offering for the year. So now is the time to get started. Plus, I have some incredible offers that are going to save you a lot. So, go ahead and book in your strategy call so that, you can learn about the program. And if it's a good fit, you can go ahead and get yourself enrolled this year. And this is the year to do it. All right. So, um, yesterday on day one of the challenge, I asked you to do some research into coaching programs, and you can bring your questions and drop them in the comments, and I'll be happy to address them. Um, so I'd love to find out what you learned about coaching programs based on what we talked about yesterday. And yesterday, we also talked about kind of the big problem that new coaches face. So here's what I understand about you as a woman living in modern world. Number one, you are already someone who coaches people. You're a leader in your life. You lead your family. You lead at work. Um, you lead your community. You're someone who's out there helping people, keeping your eye on people who are maybe struggling, right? You're aware of family members that are struggling. You're aware of people in your community who don't have enough food, who maybe are having some trouble, with their loved ones, or, their children are suffering or struggling. You're aware of those things, and you tend to do something about it. You don't just stand on the sidelines and kind of wait for things to happen. So in your life, in your world, as you are right now, you are helpful. You are someone who is relied upon. Um, People come to you when there's a problem. You're a leader, okay? So you also have this desire to become a coach. You want to help people heal and transform their lives. And even though you're good at what you do in your regular life, the coaching world is new for you as a professional. So maybe you've never been trained before on how to be a coach, right? Um, and maybe you don't know how to get clients. Maybe you don't know how to build a six-figure business. This is what we talked about in detail yesterday. And we understood that this I don't know how to coach thing is kind of what can hold you back and give you fear, where normally you're fearless. You know, you go about your life, you see a problem, you fix a problem. You don't live in fear normally. But maybe you've noticed a little apprehension when it comes when it comes to stepping into the coaching world. So the thing that I want you to kind of think about as we're going forward with the work today is that you are already a leader at home and at work. And even though um, you don't know how to coach, you can learn it, right? So there are two things that you really need in order to be able to coach. You need your own kind of philosophy, like what's important to you, but you also need a transformational program. So a good, strong certification program is going to help you bring out your unique philosophy, but it's also going to give you a powerful transformation program that you can integrate with your own experience. Okay, so this is the very first pillar of any certification program. And we're going to look at the things that you need to do to coach in detail today. That's part of what we're going to do today. And this is an important part of starting up your own uh, coaching business and being able to be successful at it. Now, the next thing that a lot of new coaches are afraid of, the thing that scared them, and I know this scared the heck out of me, is how you're going to get clients, right? I don't know how to get clients. This is what coaches are afraid of, new coaches are afraid of. So you know, people in your circle totally trust you because you've already proven to yourself and to your family that you're a leader. Like your kids trust you, your husband trusts you, your family members trust you. But the public doesn't really know your reputation yet, okay? So the things that you need to attract clients are a client attracting system, and you need your credibility ecosystem. All right. So a certification program should have a really strong marketing component to help you get the right messaging framework so that you're positioning yourself and what you do in the right light. So we're going to talk more about this today as well. And we're going to talk a lot about this tomorrow. That's going to be kind of the primary thing that we talk about tomorrow. So that's the second pillar of certification. All right. So day three, we're going to be looking at that. And then the last thing that coaches are really afraid of is not knowing how to build or run a coaching business. And to me, this totally makes sense, right? Like you've worked for people before, you've worked in businesses before, but how do you start your own business? Okay. Perfectly reasonable thing to ask yourself. And a lot of people are kind of intimidated by this. And I totally get that. Okay. Just because you're good at your job and you're good at managing your money doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily just naturally be good at running and building a business. But there are a couple things you need, all right? And I want you to be relaxing your mind as I'm sharing these things with you because everything that you don't know now, you can learn with a great certification and with with step-by-step guidance, okay? So for your business, you really need a roadmap. What do I need to learn first? Okay, do that. Now what do I need to do? Well, you need to do these things. Okay, do those things. Check, check, check. I love a checklist. And if you're like me, you love a checklist and you know that if you can see it in writing, you can follow the steps, right? And then the thing that you really need is a certification program that's going to help you put all the parts together so that you can actually build a six-figure business foundation. So we know that certification can provide you that. And I want to just kind of summarize what we just said. Rebecca, will you please put on the non-negotiable certification slides for me? So there are three non-negotiables that you need for a certification. Okay. The first non-negotiable is that the program must teach a powerful transformation process that you're excited to use. And then the second non-negotiable is that the certification program must teach you a clear system for finding and attracting the clients that you need in order to be successful. And then the third non-negotiable is that the certification program must provide step-by-step training in how to build and run your business. All right. So um, you can go ahead and turn off those slides now, Rebecca. Thank you. So, a great example of this is one of my graduates. Her name is Kate Deneo Bradbury, and she came to work with me after a 4-year break from coaching. Now, she had given up on trying to make her business work on her own. All right. Now, so I found her to be really successful in what she was doing because she was very soulful, very intuitive, led from her heart, and had a really attractive, magnetic personality and an attractive way about her. Okay. And, but she had to take a break. All right. She took a break. She needed to go through some personal things in her life. And she also wanted to get more training. So when it was time for her to jump back in, she came to me. So Rebecca, go ahead and put on the slide of Kate and make sure that you have your sound turned on so that people can hear her. But Kate is one of my favorite testimonials because she's a natural alchemist, okay? She's a Scorpio and she has a natural affinity with the death rebirth cycle. So she did really, really well with the phases of alchemy. Um, and we'll talk about that in a second. So, Rebecca, can you go ahead and start that slide, please?
What made me really know that this was the right program
And
for me was
hold on one second. I'm going to mute myself, Rebecca. So just restart that in one sec here. Rebecca, go ahead and start that slide.
What made me really know that this was the right program for me was one, you, um, and and your energy, your enthusiasm, your groundedness, your realness, and and yeah, just the vibe that you create you and you are. It's like your essence, really. And then also, what was very appealing to me was the step by step practical way in which I saw you were gonna take me through this journey. Um, that felt so well grounded for me, and yeah, and the practical technical pieces that I'd never really had in my business felt really good, and as well as just knowing from where you were coming from it. There's a certain, there was the sort of practical 3D and, dare I say, sort of masculine energy of the program infused with or in with the 5D feminine flow and sort of spiritual essence to the program as well, and the combination felt perfect. There's
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rebecca. Look, there's much more to that testimonial. Like I said, Kate is a natural alchemist, and she did really well with this work because she's very soul-led, very intuitive, very heart-centered. And this alchemy coaching process is really important because what it does is it requires you to surrender to the divine, right? I'm going to just call it the divine to make it just kind of more broad and more inclusive. But it's about bringing your higher self to the work. But it's a process to get here, right? To become a great coach, whether you're doing alchemy coaching or spiritual coaching or career coaching, any kind of coaching requires you to be able to bring your true heart, your love, your compassion. Those things are all the feminine. You must be able to bring those feminine things to your client. But here's the thing, you must have structure, and you must have things that flow in a way that people can use it and understand it with their rational self as well. So, a certification program can provide the structure. It teaches you the business. It teaches you what to do first. It teaches you what to do next, what comes next, what comes next. That's very masculine. And that's what Kate was referring to. She's very feminine in her Scorpio fire, sensual energy. And the program is masculine. It gives her structure. It helps her bring those ideas from her mind and from her heart into the physical form in the form of videos and articles and books and all these things that go along with being a coach. All right. So that I love that testimonial because she really did a great job with the work. So let's tuck into what that work is and what you need in order to bring about great transformation for your clients, because that's ultimately what this is about. Okay. So, yesterday we spent a lot of time talking about the process of alchemy and like what it is. We talked about the Alchemist book. And we learned that traditionally alchemists were men, okay, mostly men, all right, who studied how to change the nature of things. So they were crazy. Alchemists were crazy. They were working with chemicals. They did not have vinyl gloves. They did not use masks, okay, so they were really crazy working with things like mercury, all right. So we learned, though, okay, we don't have to be crazy, all right? But yesterday we learned that in order to be a really great life coach, you have to be an alchemist who understands the nature of pain and helps your clients transmute their painful experiences in their past so that they can have a new experience of life and success. So I've developed the Fire Alchemy coaching process or the Fire Alchemy coaching method. All right. And this is a 5-step framework that mirrors the ancient path of transmutation, not just for circumstances, but for the self. All right. So it really honors the deep truth that in order to create new results in life, we must first become someone who can embody those new things that we want. So, transformation doesn't start with the goals, it actually starts with the painful center. But those goals might be something that you can use to help you see what it is you don't have. So, for example, if I want to, if I have a goal of swimming the English Channel, I can start with that as a goal, but I got to go to the painful center, which says, I don't know how to swim, right? So the goal can start you, can help you see where it is you want to go. But when it comes down to it, the coach has to go to the painful beginning, which is that I'm afraid of water. When I was a kid, I was thrown into the pool and they're like, swim. And that did not work. It caused trauma. So now there's a lot of trauma. So this is where we have to start, right? So in my approach to coaching, we don't just jump straight to the behavioral changes or the surface level solutions. We begin much deeper at the level of the soul because that's where real change begins. So if your client's patterns or their fears or self-sabotage are rooted in trauma or in like identity wounds or even ancestral belief systems, there's no strategy that you can just apply to the outside world that's going to stick, right? So that's why my fire alchemy method is really different. It honors the inner work that has to be done before we start working on the outer work, all right? So I would love for you to consider this as your method because number one, it's powerful, it's proven, it's how I've literally coached thousands of people using this method, and the outcomes are they're transformational, right? It's really metamorphosis and transmutation at work. So let me show you why this is so powerful. Again, my method is called the Fire Alchemy Coaching Method, and it's a 5-phase framework that guides your clients through lasting transformation, not just change that looks good on paper. It's not just the outside, but it changes the way they feel in their bodies, so it's deeply somatic. It changes their relationships, it changes their choices, and it completely changes their lives. So let's tuck into um, the process right now. Um, now, we have a workbook for this. So if you're on Zoom, you have the link. You have the link for the workbook already. If you're watching live on Facebook or um, YouTube, what you need to do is the go to the link that's in the comments. Liesel on if you're on whoever's on social media. Sorry, I don't want to get myself confused. Whoever's on social media, please um, drop the link to sign up for the challenge. And again, all of that will be emailed to you automatically. All right. Um, so what does this look like for the certification? Well, what we're going to do first, we're going to talk about the process itself and what you do with your clients, okay, as a fire alchemy coach. And then we're going to talk about how you learn um, that process so that you can teach it, so that you can use it with your clients. All right. I think I made that clear. If I'm not clear, y'all let me know. All right. Okay. It seems like I'm clear. Cool. Thank you. All right. So, look, I think you're going to find this really wonderful because of what I shared in my story yesterday. So, yesterday I talked about how I created this method, right? Um, I created this method because I believe that new coaches need a really good, solid foundation when they graduate. When I graduated from my coaching program, I didn't have a solid foundation. I had a really good foundation with spirituality, but my coach really thought that that was enough, that you should just be able to, use your intuition to build your business. And while that might be true for some people, it's actually not true for most people. Most people want to feel successful and they do very well by having guidance for doing things, step by step guidance. So I do well with that, and so that's why I created this program. Like I remember. One of the things that I realized is that really, after graduating from your certification, you should have two questions and two questions alone. What am I going to do with all this money I'm making? And how do I create a waiting list for my programs because I'm already fully booked? Those are the two questions that you should have when you graduate. So, in other words, your coaching program should like answer all your questions. All right. So, what I want to do right now, I want to, Rebecca, can you show the slide that has the fire alchemy coaching method on it? It has like all 5 steps, right? So I want to just kind of show you what these 5 steps are, and then we're going to talk about them in detail. So the first step is the soul shifts, okay? So we start at the level of the soul. And then we're going to move into the identity. Who does that person think they are? So the soul comes in to this earth with its agenda, all right? It has something that it needs to work out here. It has something that it's naturally attracted to. We need to discover what that is. And then what we do, once we've worked with the soul, the internal stuff, we start moving into who the client thinks they are, right? What they're identifying with. What are the labels that they are living with, all right? And then we move into the mindset, meaning what are their beliefs? How are they using their mind? What are they focusing on? What are the thought patterns that are active? And then the next thing we do is we move into the behaviors. Okay. What are the actions that they're taking? What are their habits? And then we work with reality. What's showing up for them in the outside world? And what are they calling in to their world? What are they manifesting? Okay. So it's really just 5 simple shifts that we need to make in order to get them from where they are now with the things that are holding them back to the outcomes that they want, which is their divine self, their higher self functioning in their lives. All right. Rebecca, go ahead. You can stop the share. Thank you. All right. So, this is the alchemical client transformation blueprint. Let's talk about that first level, the soul shifting. So, this is where the inner calling begins. This is where the soul awakens. This is the moment that the client senses that there is something more for them, even if they don't have the language for it yet. So, your client is coming to you because they have something that they want, but they're not able to get. Now, sometimes they're in tune with what it is they want, but very often they're not. But what they're experiencing is restlessness, dissatisfaction, anger, like they're having some negative emotions and they don't know what to do with those negative emotions, okay? They have a yearning for something, they're craving something. And what you're doing as a fire alchemy coach is you're listening for for what that thing is. So they're coming to you, they are they're feeling stuck, okay? And what you're listening for is that thing that is ready to die. So something old inside of them is ready to die. It's wanting to break free. Something new inside them is wanting to be born, right? And that new thing needs the old thing to die so that it can rise up. This is like the caterpillar and the butterfly, right? The caterpillar has to die. It has to give up the ghost. It has to give up its control in in the body, okay? So that the butterfly can take over and be unleashed, right? And that's what the fire alchemy coach does. It helps the client attune to this inner voice, right? And trust the process of letting go and dying. Um, yeah. This is such a really important process. The death and the rebirth. There's so many, there's so many different things that go on because we as the alchemy coaches and we as also clients, right? We have to go through this ourselves. And there's so much power in this first step. There's the power of the ancestors, right? That soul, when it comes into the earth, is not alone. It's carrying the DNA, of the physical mom and dad, but it's also carrying the soul's DNA and the wholeness of the whole lineage. It's the soul family that it's carrying and working with that. That's what we work with. And it's so powerful. Sorry, it's it's early in the morning here, and it's also powerful work. And I've seen so much. It's really interesting to be talking about it right now, especially at this particular time in, the cosmic structure. It's just there's a lot. There's a lot that we're all carrying as individuals, and to step into this as a coach, it's a wonderful responsibility that we get to usher people through. We get to shepherd people through, and we get to lead with love and compassion and heart because we go through it ourselves, right? And the certification process requires you to go through this, right? All right. So the next step is the identity shifts. And this is where those old stories dissolve and a new truth can now come forth. So we work with the soul and we discover the new self. We discover the butterfly. And now we got to get that butterfly to take over the identity. We got to get the butterfly to take over the mindset. We have to get the butterfly to take over the behaviors. and then we got to get the butterfly out in the world to take over the world. That's what we want. Mm. So, so once the soul has spoken and the old identity is going to start to break down. Okay, this is why people need a coach to help them with this. All right. We need we need fire alchemy coaches to help people because when that old identity starts to crack, there's a lot that comes up, okay? It sounds like it should be easy, right? Oh, yay, I'm free. I'm a butterfly. This is a process. That's why I call myself Badass Butterfly, because to get through this process, it requires all of you. All right. So your client is going through a huge identity crisis. All right. They're they're shedding their old beliefs, they're shedding their old patterns, they're shedding old roles that no longer fit. Okay. And then they start to remember who they truly are underneath the masks. And it's beautiful because it's not just who they are truly in this lifetime, but all the old goodness from their previous lifetimes start to come forward. Their good karma from the old lifetimes starts to come forward. There's space for that now because in that soul level, that soul shift level, they are dealing with old karma. Okay, they're dealing with old soul contracts and now they're free of that. Okay, and there's a lot of love that comes pouring through them. There's a lot of light and grace that starts coming through. And even though on one hand, that feels like really good. It sounds really good, right? But the body has to be ready for all that light that's coming through. And so as a fire alchemy coach, you have to teach them how to make space for that. So there's a lot of things that come through. A lot of light comes through, but there's also a lot of grief that comes through because there's a sense of loss when you're losing your old self. There's a sense of when something dies, even if it was uncomfortable, even if it was bad, it was familiar and there was attachment to it. And even if it was abusive, there's still attachment to it. And you have to hold space for your clients as they go through this process. Okay. And liberation is wonderful, but you also have to hold space for their liberation. It's not like they come out and they're just, okay, I got this. I'm good. I know how to live. It doesn't work that way, especially since those old patterns try to come back in and take over like, no, I'm still a caterpillar. Like, I'm still up in here. No, we have to we have to keep reminding our clients that they are no longer beholden to those old entities. And this is a process. And that's why they need us to be able to be there for them so that they don't go back. All right. This is a loving process. It's a partnership, and we want to honor that. All right. That's your job. You get to do this for people. All right. So step three is the mindset shift pathway or path stage. Sorry, it's early. Um, so this is where it gets really, really good. Look, it's all really, really good, but this is where there's now a fight. All right. There's a fight. We need the new perspective to take over um, the old. Now, in alchemy, we talk a lot about death, the death of the old self, right? We talk about lead turning into gold. But what we need to also understand is that the ego doesn't actually die. What it does is it needs to die to its old ways of being because you're going to have an earthly self still, but we need that earthly self to serve a new master. it was serving itself, telling itself its stories, telling itself, creating its own perceptions, creating its own world. And what we need it to do now is stop creating itself and to actually just start serving you, the truth of who you are, your higher self, your your gold, your golden self. Me, I call myself Star. Her name is simply Star. She's light, she's beautiful, she's intelligent, she's connected, she's compassionate, she's loving, she's highly intuitive, she dances, she sings, she's sexual, she's connected to everything and everybody, and she's highly capable. She is she's divine. So that is who the ego should be serving. The ego should not be serving the old trauma stories. We can all love and give compassion to the old trauma stories, but we don't need to be acting from those old trauma stories. And the Fire Alchemy Coach helps give birth to um, the star, the golden self in the client. That's our job, right? So when your client has a really clear sense of who they are, the limiting beliefs totally shift. It is mind blowing how there's not even, honestly, when we get our clients to this point, there is no kind of like reframing of limiting beliefs. You don't have to reframe them. The limiting beliefs literally fall away. There's just, there's no, there's a forgiveness process that we have, but every single client says, why do I feel like there was never anything to forgive? Like there was never anything to forgive, is what we've experienced when we've gone through this process fully. It's like the mind has been blown. And there's no, it's not like affirmations, like, oh, I have to bring this in. It's like, no, this is who I am. I am star. I am gold. Whatever you name yourself, whatever your higher self calls herself, okay? Your calls themselves, whatever you call yourself when I'm talking to the you with a capital Y, right? So it's really the truth of who you are at your core beyond your ego. Okay. So the fire alchemy coach brings this clarity and inner authority and aligned decision making. So step 4 is where the behavior shifts, right? So at this stage, your client is starting to act from their truth. There's not any kind of like performance. They are now naturally setting boundaries and they trust their boundaries and they're trusting the people around them to receive their boundaries with love. There's no more fear of, oh, this person's going to leave me if I um, if I set a boundary. No, there's a confidence and a love that's starting to permeate everything that they do. Okay. So, they're able to speak up. There's no more people pleasing role. So their behavior is matching who they truly are on the inside right now. Their habits are matching who they truly are on the inside. For example, their eating behaviors are changing. The way that they are showing up, they're dressing differently. They're doing, they're speaking differently. They're approaching people differently. They're walking into a room commanding space because they're not going in saying, "Hey, look at me," but they're just radiating and taking up space that they weren't before. Now, this last shift is where reality shifts, and this is where they are seeing the world through a different, they're perceiving the world differently because they're perceiving themselves differently. Where the world was a dangerous place, the world is now a safe place so that they can walk in and put themselves in the world and the world responds to them differently. This is where they are seeing the results. Opportunities are arriving. Their business is growing. They feel seen. They feel valued. They feel aligned because, she's showing up as her whole self, or you're showing up as your whole self. Your clients are showing up as their whole selves. All right. So this is the gold of alchemy. And it's not just about the results, it's about how these results were earned. Okay. Your clients have earned these results because they've walked the path and they're going to feel fully embodied because their body and their soul and their energy and their aura, their whole self, received. All right. Your client's reality has changed. Okay. So I'm taking a breath. I get very excited. Ah, all right. I hope you're finding this exciting. Okay, yes, this is cool. It is a great method. Thank you. Okay. So, do you remember how yesterday we talked about that big problem of not knowing? Okay. And I talked about it even at the beginning of today's session. All right. Keep in mind that certification is the certification is the way. So I want to talk to you right now about my six-figure Fire Alchemy Coach certification and how it works. Because in order to be able to guide your clients on this powerful journey, you have to go through this powerful journey yourself. And in my certification, I have created it so that you go through this journey while you are getting certified. You walking the journey is how you learn the journey, and then you formalize and crystallize your journey into your certification so that you're actually taught how to guide others through the journey. So I want to tell you about that right now. Okay, so um, this is a process that comes in stages, and there are three stages. Okay, so the three stages are, oh God, the three stages are fire, light, and the third one is escaping me. Hold on one second. I'm gonna look at my notes. Give me one second because it's 3:30 in the morning here, and honestly speaking, I am it's very early. I've been up I've been up since 1:30 and it's early. Okay, and the third one is of course manifestation. And actually the third one, really, the reason I get a little bit jumbled up on it is because the real name of it is magnum opus. All right. And I was working with my mentor, and she said that the name magnum opus is a little vague for people who don't know what a magnum opus is. So the spiritual name of my program, okay, is the third stage is magnum opus. That's a spiritual name. But the more people-pleasing name, the one that's more relatable, let's just call it more relatable, is the manifestation stage. All right. And I'm going to explain to you, you'll see why magnum opus is the spiritual name. And magnum opus really means great work. It is basically like your greatest potential in the Alchemist book by Paulo Coelho. It's the personal legend, okay? And so that's stage three of the fire alchemy certification is the magnum opus. It's about like your personal legend. It's the greatest potential. You've done it. You've accomplished it. You've gone through the fire and come out golden. You've gone through the fire and come out a fire alchemy coach. All right. I'm sure that makes sense. So stage one, let's talk about stage one. Stage one is about fire. So, all of alchemy, the fire alchemy coaching certification, is about learning how to use fire. So, in the first stage, you are understanding what fire is. Okay. Fire is destructive in stage one. It's where you're learning how to use fire to burn things down. In my framework, I call it burning down the house. You want to burn down all the old stuff that doesn't serve you any longer. Okay. You might have made a soul contract, but that does not mean that that soul contract does not end. Okay. The soul contract ends when you awaken to your true self. That's when it ends. So we burn that shit down. we burn that we burn that stuff down unapologetically. All right. We burn down outdated beliefs. We burn down outdated mindsets. We burn down outdated whatever doesn't serve you, okay? Old karma gets burned down. Once we've paid our dues, we need to burn it down. The problem is that patterns tend to stick, and those patterns don't need to they don't need to have that much power. And so what we want to do is put an end to what no longer serves us. All right. And so that's what we're doing in this fire stage. So we burn down things at the level of the soul. We burn down things at the level of identity, at the level of mindset, at the level of behavior, and at the level of reality. Those 5 steps, things get burned down. All right. And what we're going to be doing during that time is learn how to burn down with love and compassion. So even though we're destroying those things, we aren't killing the spirit of love, right? This is the thing that we want to understand that fire is sacred. So whenever we're doing things like we're working with shadow work, whenever we're working with those things that are painful, trauma, wounds, right? Scars, emotional scars, we want to bring the fire, but we must also bring the compassion, the empathy, and the love. So we learn how to do all of that in stage one of the work. All right. And we have a lot of different exercises that we do. That's what you're going to be learning, all the exercises. And the wonderful thing about this program is that you get to take all these valuable exercises, you use them on yourself, you learn how to use them with your clients, right? And so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, is what I'm trying to say. You don't have to try to figure out how to build this for yourself. This program is one that you're going to be able to actually take and use, and you're going to want to, because what we do is very, very powerful. And the clients, you get to see the transformation. Your clients get to experience it, and it's really, really wonderful. Now, a huge part of this certification is Reiki. Now, Reiki, as you know it and use it, is wonderful. But we have been blessed with a special type of Reiki called Fire Reiki. And that is a part of this fire alchemy method. So even if you are already certified as a Reiki practitioner, you're going to get recertified because you're going to be recertified as a fire Reiki practitioner. it's a different way of using the method. It's a different way of working with the energy centers, and it's a different protocol. You'll be learning that as a part of this as well. And that's probably enough said about that. But what the Reiki does, I should say, just in case you don't know what Reiki is a form of energy. It's a way of working with divine, unconditionally loving life force energy. But with alchemy, we use it to help facilitate and bring in that comfort when the client is in fire. All right. So this is what you'll be learning as a part of this process. Okay. That, alchemy brings up a lot of pain for people, okay? And we need to help usher them through that pain. And the Reiki, the fire Reiki in particular, knows how to work particularly with the pain of alchemy that comes through. So there can be a lot of shedding, but a lot of lifting. It's like that phoenix that is going down in flame. The phoenix is going down in flames, um, but there should be love and passion that's going down along with them while they're going down. So that the experience of pain is actually elevated and it's more like ecstatic, so that they're staying at one as they're going through this process. Okay. So there are three different levels of learning the alchemy coaching method. There are also three different levels of fire Reiki that you'll be receiving. Okay. So let's get into level 2 here. And I'm gonna let's see, hold on. Right. Okay, so once you've gone through that fire and you've learned how to use the fire to destroy those things that need to be burned down, we now use fire in a different way. Okay, so remember, this is fire alchemy. We're using fire now to um, burn up. All right, we were burning down, now we're burning up. We're lifting up, but we're lifting up with fire. This is where, we've gotten rid of all the illusion, okay? And now we're standing in the this different type of fire where we are glowing and we're burning with passion, we're burning with love, we're burning with desire. And that burning desire is really important because this is the holy flame of love that we're burning with. And this stage is about understanding that we now get to burn with light and love, and we now get to create. All right. We learned at this stage, you're starting to really walk with your higher self. And when you're walking with your higher self, it's a learning process. All right. Let's face it, your higher self is divine. And as I said, earlier when I was talking about what your clients go through, you're going to go through that as well. Okay. You need to start, you've burned down your old identities. You now have a new identity that you're birthing, and you're no longer hiding, and your dreams are no longer out there. You're embodying the dream, right? So you're living the dream. And this is a practice, and you need to learn. We have some structures that you can use to help you bring this in more easily, right? And that's what you're learning during this second stage. You're seeing your life through God's eyes, and you're learning how to create. And one of the things that happens during this stage is the caterpillar self, the ego, is kind of trying to claw back in, okay? And we need to learn how to train. So part of this stage is about training the ego to down, not here, right? So we have processes to help you learn how to do that. Um, and there's still, this is still a very process. This is still a process, okay? This is not an instantaneous thing. I'm done with it. Boom. Um, so what I want to, I kind of skipped something that I want to say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish talking about the light, and then I'm going to go back to that thing I need to let you know about this certification. Um, so passion is a big theme about this. Mapping out your dreams is a big part of this. And using your imagination, training your perception. This is a huge training stage, right? Now, because once the shadows are gone, you now have to really work with your light. So Reiki level 2, fire Reiki level 2 is a big part of this work right now. Okay. And in this section, like during this stage, your fire Reiki is actually helping you to amplify, to put out, to radiate. This is light, you're radiating. So amplification is a huge part of this. All right. Now, let me go back and I want to talk about the certification and how it works. First of all, this fire certification process actually includes a lab where you're working with people. So that's a part of this certification. I want you to be able to work in a supervised way with the process so that you feel good and you get to practice and, I get to help you integrate I help you integrate when you're going through it, but when you're working with clients, I'm there to help guide you so that you're looking deeper and all this kind of thing. So you're never going to feel like, when you graduate with your certifications, you're not going to feel like lost. You're going to feel very, very, very confident. Now, what needs to also happen, what I want you to understand is that with each of these stages, you're going to be able to start coaching clients for real. So there's a lab with each stage. And after the lab, I encourage you to go out and actually start charging clients so that you can coach them through the protocols that have been set up for that stage. So we're going to teach you a lot, but you're going to actually start practicing as a coach very early on. And we can talk about that, what that looks like, but just understand that, again, you're going to learn a lot, but you're going to start applying and earning right away. Because you're going to actually be delivering real transformation to your clients, you should understand that you should be getting paid. Part of building the six-figure portion is understanding how to earn money. So that is a part of this training as well. It's all integrated and it all makes sense step by step. And it's wonderful. I can guarantee you. All right, let's talk about that last stage and start wrapping up for today. Okay. All right, so stage 3 is the manifestation stage. All right, and it's also the magnum opus. All right, now that I've dropped it, I feel like I can say it. I feel like I can tell my mentor, like, I've now said it. Now people know what it is. I can start saying it all the time. So I can call it manifesting your magnum opus, and that can create some curiosity, I guess. So that's good. So this is the culmination of your journey. You will have the highest level of certification for coaching and for Fire Reiki. So you're going to be an official six-figure Fire Alchemy coach and you're going to embody all three levels of the fire alchemy Reiki, all right, which is your healing your healing source. It's your way of being able to work with energy. Okay. And so now you're going to be stepping into embodiment and manifestation. So by this time, okay, because remember, you're getting certified as a coach, but you're actually living the transformation. All right. So by this time, your ego is being very, very subtle. It's serving your higher self at a higher level. Okay, so it's actually you have more control, but it doesn't mean that you are perfect, right? But what you're doing is you've learned how to operate in this higher level, and you're learning how to manage the subtleties of ego and internal challenge, okay? But you're also more audacious, okay? At this stage, you have learned how to flow and surrender. You start learning how to flow and surrender during stage one, because stage one, that burning down, is actually, this is why we need the Reiki. It's about surrender. So, anyway, we will talk about that in the program, and just later you'll hear me talking about that in different videos. But basically, you're going to learn about being more creative and being more faithful. You're going to have more faith, more trust, okay? You're going to be more open and more open-hearted, more open-minded, more expansive. You're going to think bigger. That's what happens at this level. But you're going to be embodying the truth of who you are, and you will have learned, you will have integrated her on a much deeper level, okay? Cellular level, absolutely, but also mental, and your aura expands at this level. You're going to have ownership of yourself, more authority. You're going to be authoring your life. You're going to be claiming things, manifesting faster. All right. And lastly, it's the great work, your magnum opus. This is where you're bringing forth the truth of who you are, and you are living in your power. And now you are coaching people at this highest level. At each level, you can only give what you have, right? So at level one, you're at level one. So you're giving at level one. That's good, because your clients don't have level one. All right. They don't have that yet. They need it. When you get to level two, you're coaching at level two. You're able to bring people in and coach them at levels one and two, right? Because you have level two, so you can coach at level one and level two. When you get to level three, you have it all. So you're able to coach on all levels and start lifting people up, and you're ready to expand your coaching business. You're ready to step into that six-figure foundation that you've already built. You're ready to manifest that. That is the six-figure Fire Alchemy Coach certification. All right. So I really, really hope that you're finding this work to be really fun and exciting. I find it to be really, really exciting. Now, if you feel like you are ready to learn more about this, and if you're feeling excited about learning it, and even just if you've got more questions and you just want to talk to me about how it can work for you personally and how you can use it for your coaching uh, business, then book yourself in for a six-figure Fire Alchemy Coach strategy call. Um, Ladies, you can put this in on Zoom and on the social medias. All right. Drop the link to book the call. And, this is going to be really, really good for you if you are someone who has gone through some difficult things in your life and you want to help other people who have gone through difficult things, right? And you have wisdom, okay? We know you have wisdom. But now you want to turn that wisdom into a method. You want to channel it into a way where you can bring your love and what you've learned to other people and help them. Book yourself in for a strategy call. This is an opportunity for you to um, articulate your vision, to give voice. A lot of times on these calls, people say, I've never really talked about this with people, but I've thought a lot about it. And I'm like, yeah, you're in the right place. This is where you and I get to talk about your vision and how you want to be of service. This is also, okay, look, this is not therapy. But this is also a great opportunity for you to tell me a little bit about like the traumas that you've gone through. What brings you to want to be of service to other people? And it's a time for you to maybe share what you've gone through, share a bit about your story so that I can see you more fully. On the call, you share your vision, but I get to see your vision. So, my job during this call is to see you, to see your vision, to see your hopes, and to see your dreams. And then what I can do is bring solutions, bring you ideas to help you ground those things so that you can give birth to them. Now, I have my method. Sure, I'm going to tell you about my method, but you have a choice about whether you like my method or you don't like it. Maybe it doesn't work for you, right? That's that's your option. You are your higher self. You are the magnum opus, okay? You are the personal legend. You get to go where you feel called. But I can guarantee you that if you feel called to what I'm talking about right now, you are going to love my program. Everyone does. I've not yet had a person who's like, I don't like that. That does not resonate with me. And this this is not even a humble brag. It's simply the work. It's simply alchemy, right? I didn't invent alchemy. What I did was sit down and listen and channel and live through coaching and developing and researching the Fire Alchemy Coaching Method. Okay? That's what I did. The alchemy has always been in this world. We've been living it all this time. My job was to document it and create a system and create the exercises so that it can be shared and used for the good of our planet. So I invite you to learn more about it, talk to me about it, and if it resonates, you can enter the program, which starts the first week of October. So come and join me. Come and join me, and let's talk about how you can get started. Okay? All right, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and sign off right now. It's, I'm right on time. All right. I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Tomorrow. What are we doing tomorrow? Wait, don't go away just yet. All right. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how you attract clients. All right. So I'm going to give you a strategy so that you can be seen in your business. I'm going to let you know what that is. All right. How we use that. This is all a part of this method that I use. And I'll tell you why I think it's so great. You're going to love it. All right. We're going to talk about how to attract clients, all right? Because you need to know how to attract clients. And then we're going to talk about that roadmap for how to build your six-figure business. Okay, I'm going to reveal that to you. All right. So we'll see you back here tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. All right, that's 5:30 that's PM, by the way, 8:30 at night Eastern Standard Time and 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll see you wherever you are. If you're on YouTube, you can see me there. If you're on Facebook, you can see me there. And if you're here in Zoom, you can see me here. All right? Bye for now, everybody. Bye.